For the past 4.5 years or so, I've been using this C800S as my one and only charger for my rechargeable AA batteries. Now, it's certainly been a while because my last video on this thing looked something like this. Close to 5 years later, this thing is still working like a champ. But there's a new kid in town. This is the brand new Powerex MH-C980 charger. Now, this is due for a late April 2019 release, which should be just around the time that this video is published. But it was wonderfully nice of Maha Energy Corporation to send out this unit to me ahead of its release, so I get to share my thoughts on it. Alright, so what is so special about this charger? Now, one of the special features is a turbo mode, which will allow you to charge your batteries from 0 to full in about only an hour. And on this charger, there is a conditioning mode, which according to the company will rescue degraded batteries. You can also use the function to exercise rechargeable batteries that you haven't been using for quite a while. And something you certainly won't come across on a lot of chargers is the analyzer feature, which will tell you the capacity of each battery that's still usable after you've performed a conditioning cycle on it. And during normal charging, it will also tell you how much charge has been put into the battery. And one more thing you don't usually find on consumer chargers like this is a fan. Now, for anyone who has charged up rechargeable AA batteries before, you will know how hot these things can get when you are charging them, so having some thermal management is really neat. So let's have a look at the charger itself. It's a medium-sized charger. It's not too small, but it's not too big either. The whole thing is made out of hard plastic, and you have 4 rubber feet on the bottom along with your ventilation fan. It's got 8 slots that will take either a AA or a AAA battery in each slot. There's also a nice backlit LCD display and can use the condition and turbo buttons to cycle through the info display for each battery bay on the LCD screen. So although Powerex does make their own rechargeable batteries, these are their high-capacity Powerex Pros. These are rated at 2,700 mAh, but this charger will work with any rechargeable batteries that are nickel metal hydride or nickel cadmium, so long as they are either AA or AAA sized, including those made by other brands. Because I've been using this to charge my inventory of rechargeable AAs, which is a mix of these Powerex Pros and also the Panasonic Eneloops, and even with these third-party batteries, I've run into no issues with the charger. Plus the fact that it's got 8 bays, which is really useful if you're someone like me who has a ton of batteries to charge. It can really save you some time because you can charge more batteries at the same time, and it also has independent circuits for each bay, so it's kind of like every single one of your batteries gets their own personalized service. What that allows you to do is at one time charge 8 batteries, and each battery can be of a different capacity or have a different amount of charge left in them, and the charger will deliver just the right amount of charge to each battery to fill them up. There's also a microprocessor in here that will prevent over or undercharging of your batteries. So the default charging mode takes roughly 2 hours to fully charge up a AA battery that's rated at roughly 2,000 mAh, and it does so by applying a 1 amp current to AA batteries. There's also a turbo mode that you can activate, which will, for the case of AA batteries, charge them at a 2 amp current, so double the amount of current, half the amount of charging time. The LCD is also going to show how much charge you've already pumped into the battery while you're charging on a slot-by-slot basis. And of course, there's also the special conditioning mode, which kind of resets your batteries, especially if you're using nickel-cadmium batteries, which suffer from the memory effect, and that effect prevents you from using the battery's full potential. But what conditioning mode basically does is it charges the batteries to their full capacity and then lets them sit for about an hour and then very slowly drain them until they are completely gone, and then recharge them back to their full capacity. The whole process can take up to 24 hours depending on the capacity of your battery. For me, conditioning 8 of these Powerex Pros took roughly 20 hours. And ultimately, at the end of that process, the LCD will display for you how much charge the battery is still capable of holding. Now, for both the turbo and conditioning modes, these 2 modes need to be toggled before the turbo charging or conditioning process begins. And you do so by inserting 1 battery into the first bay, and within 5 seconds, pressing on either the turbo or conditioning button to turn it on. But keep in mind that both these modes are applied across the board. There's no way to toggle them on or off for individual bays. Which means if I activate turbo mode, all 8 out of 8 bays will be applying that high turbocharging current. Same case for the conditioning mode. Now, this is a fantastic charger, but there are a few things about this charger that I personally wish could have been better. For example, the fan. Now, I'm actually very happy that they designed this charger with a fan because, like I said earlier, battery charging is a process that generates a lot of heat, and having a fan that will draw some of that heat away from the unit is wonderful, and I absolutely love that. My only problem with it is the fan is a bit loud. If I start a charging process right now, the fan will definitely kick in. and that is how loud the fan is. Now granted, the charger is right in front of my face and the mic is right here on my chest, but point is you might want to take into account the fan noise when you're using it in situations whereby noise might be an issue. For example, if you're planning to use this as an on-set charger when you're filming, you might want to put this far enough away from the camera so that the noise doesn't get picked up in the audio. There's also no settings available for the user to manually override the fan in order to either turn it off or dial it down. So I guess my suggestion to Maha would be to perhaps incorporate more silent fans in future models. Now there's also a few things that I wouldn't consider to be flaws in the design of the C980, but more like features that I've used on other models that you don't find on this model. For example, there's no soft charge function on this model, which was present on my C800S, which basically gave you the option of charging your batteries at an even lower current, but over a longer period of time in efforts to put less strain on the batteries when charging them. There's also no battery level indicator on the C980. Now, I wouldn't consider that absolutely critical information, but it's definitely nice information to be able to see so I can expect roughly how long a charge would take to complete. But that's about it. On another note, if you do have a tendency to travel with your chargers a lot, Maha also offers this padded case as an optional accessory for $20. It's actually an excellent little zip case with removable compartments, and of course their chargers fit perfectly inside. But you can really use it for anything, especially considering that it's very nicely padded. But that pretty much sums up my review of the brand new MH-C980 battery charger analyzer. Feel free to leave any questions you may have about this down in the comments below. I'll also include some links down in the description if you're interested in purchasing any of these. But that is pretty much it for today. If you enjoyed this video, do consider subscribing for more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.